Americans have been imperial power. They've been so since they became a superpower.
Yeah.
Are the Europeans doing anything differently? Absolutely not. So the X side of the equation is the same as it has always been since Israel was established and before. So what is broken in the equation that allowed an unprecedented genocide to take place with Palestine? We've had genocides things, but not on this scale. What is broken in the equation? It's the Y side. Who was the Y side? The Y side is the Muslim rulers. In 73, the Y side was balanced, the oil embargo. 2001, you had the Crown Prince Abdullah bin Abdulaziz when he withdrew the ambassador from Washington, recalled him, and when he threatened to cut ties with Bush. The balance was there. The Y side is broken. It's not broken because Muslim leaders lost power. It's broken because the Muslim leaders don't want the Y. They made it 1 over Y. Why 1 over Y? They've made it flipped because today it's not that Muslim leaders are neutral. They're complicit. The Saudi Crown Prince agrees with Israel's aims to eliminate Hamas. UAE agrees with Israel's aims to eliminate Hamas. Their only contention is do it in a cleaner way. Erdogan believes that Syria is a priority and I don't want to harm my relations with the Israelis. And therefore, my people think they want to stand for Gaza, but I'm going to make sure no flotilla leaves Istanbul. I don't want to offend them. I've got an economic crisis. Send Ben-gvir, Turkey var. Malaysia, Anwar Ibrahim says, I'm caught between America and China. So I need to appease the people who are talking about Gaza. I believe Anwar cares about Gaza. But if I'm going to make a statement about Gaza, I need to buy Boeing jets as well. If I'm going to lambast the Americans about Gaza, I need to smile with Antony Blinken and I need to promise to buy semiconductors as well because I want American investments here. If I'm going to go to the Bogota summit in which I'm going to announce measures against the Israelis, I need to offer BlackRock also, the airport and the management of the airport because I want to show the Americans that there are limits to what I'm willing to do with regards to Palestine and beyond. Muslim countries collectively have the ability to make a difference. But the Muslim governments have aimed their resources against their own people. Turkey not so much, but certainly the other Muslim states, including the Qataris, they've aimed their resources against their own people. And that's why I argue that the reason the Muslim leaders need to be criticized is because many of them are the front line of defense of Zionism. When that Sumud convoy left Algeria and Tunisia, it wasn't stopped on the border with Israel, or so-called Israel, I don't recognize it as a state. It wasn't stopped in Rafah. It was stopped in Sirte, in Libya. It was stopped in Cairo, in Egypt. The land bridge that goes from the UAE all the way to Israel goes through Jordan. It goes through Saudi Arabia. El Al, when it flies to Dubai, where the flights still continue, anyone can open Flight Radar and see it. It flies through Saudi airspace. Saudis have not stopped the flights going through Saudi airspace. Saudis and the Qataris and the UAE have not withdrawn the billions of dollars that they gave to Jared Kushner, who said openly, I'm investing this stuff in the Israelis. Like none of that has changed. These are the first line of defense for the Zionist regimes. First line of defense against who? Against the people. And that's why I argue that when you're given categories or tiers, Pakistan or Saudi Arabia or these things, can you imagine if Pakistan, the military elite, lifted their chokehold that they have on the Pakistani people, allowed free elections, allowed the Pakistanis to choose, allowed them to dream of a free Pakistan. And because it became free, those Pakistanis in America, the ones who make millions of dollars and who are experts in tech, decide to go back because it's free, because they're now allowed to innovate. And so the production of the latest tech happens in Pakistan. The latest military hardware is produced in Pakistan. That talent that's being used in MIT, that's being used in Boeing, that's being used in Lockheed Martin, they leave because they want to serve Pakistan, because they know it's free, because they know that there is justice there. They go and rebuild. Not, Pakistan won't just be a nuclear power, it will be a military power. And that's why Ibn Khaldun says, الظُّلْمُ مُؤْذِنٌ بِخَرَابِ الْعُمْرَانِ. Oppression destroys civilization. Oppression drives talent to leave the country. Oppression reduces market size. Oppression makes less taxes, less revenue. Oppression destroys it. And the reason the military elite in Pakistan don't feel it is because they live comfortably while the rest of the people are poor. It's a Marie Antoinette syndrome where the French Revolution emerged, but Marie Antoinette could not understand why the French were revolting against them, because they lived in lovely compounds while the French lived in miserable conditions. Pakistan needs to be liberated. The Muslim world needs to be liberated, not from Zionism first, but from the allies of Zionism, who believe that it is better to bring Israel to bomb Damascus than it is to allow Ahmad al-Shar to assert himself in Suwaida, who believe that it's better to bring the mercenaries into our countries and our lands to fight against our own people instead of relying on our people to protect them against the Americans, who believe it's better to bring NATO to bomb Libya than it is to go and get the Libyans to support them against Gaddafi instead, who believe it's better to bring NATO against Iraq than it is to find some sort of accord with Iraq and with the accorded people, who believe it's better to set up an Al-Udaid base to point at Saudi Arabia than it is to find an accord with Saudi Arabia, who believe it's better to bring military bases in Saudi Arabia to point towards Qatar and Iran than it is to find an accord with Iran, who believe that it's better to bring the foreign power and the Zionists against my brother because I would rather ally with the genocidal rabid army than I would with my own brother. That's the disaster with the Muslim world. It's not, I want the equation to be fixed. I want the X and the Y to be balanced, because the X is the same as it's always been. It's the Y that is broken. And if bin Salman tomorrow picks up the phone and calls Erdogan and calls the rest of the Muslim leaders and tells them we're all withdrawing our ambassadors from Washington because we're making a stance on Gaza and we're putting on hold the $3.4 trillion that we're giving to the Americans, we're going to give it to South Africa instead because they took the case to the ICJ. I think Trump will come running and say to the Saudis, listen, it doesn't need to be this way. Netanyahu, do a ceasefire now. But he chooses not to do so. Why? Not because they are scared, but because they are complicit. They don't mind the Palestinians getting slaughtered because they are benefiting from those who are supporting the genocide. And bin Salman and bin Zayed want to see the Palestinians destroyed, want to see the Palestinian bloc eradicated, because in their view, the future of the Ummah doesn't look like the Ummah of the past. It looks like Miami, it looks like Jennifer Lopez, it looks like Nicki Minaj, it looks like casinos, it looks like breweries, it looks like introduction of alcohol again, it looks like bikini beaches, it looks like parties in Al-Ula. That's what the future looks like, and Palestine does not fit in that future.
Sami Hamdi, Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much for your time today.
Jazakallah khair.